and figure out your next steps. So, you know, when you're young, you make some dumb mistakes,
sure,
right? But it's also learning from those things as well. So I bring on like young people. I also bring on elders as well, like, and just talk about like how can we as young people get into these different industries and what does it look like, and then also adulting as well, like what does that adulting process look like.
Get to the money and slide, get to the money and slide. Free all the bros inside, free all the bros inside. Play with the bros, you die, yeah. Get to the money and slide, free all the bros inside, play with the bros, you die, yeah. If you want smoke, come get it. You on my chain, come get it. Taking the money, run with it. You did this shit, I done did it. Get to the money and slide, get to the money and slide. Free all the bros inside, free all the bros inside. Play with the bros, you die, yeah.
I give y'all that. I give y'all that. I give y'all that, bro.
Please, we need you to.
I give y'all that. All right, man. Y'all ready, man?
Yeah.
Hey, man. I appreciate it. Hey, man. Say, man. It's the Got 15 podcast coming back, man. Volume 4.
Oh.
Part who knows, man. It's the Got 15 crew checking in, and we got a special guest to my left. Go ahead and shout yourself out.
What's good, y'all? It's Aaliyah Dua. What's up? How you feeling?
Man, we feeling good. Where can they find you at? Where can they find you?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Financial Revolution. That's my business page. And then Aaliyah Dua. So AALIYH DUAH on Instagram, stuff like that. Financial Revolution on all platforms. Though.
Make sure y'all go check her out, man. You know what I'm saying? She really put us on. So shit, y'all don't know, but she was one of the judges at Revolt World, man. She definitely gave us some good words of advice and stuff like that. So we was, very excited to have her on the platform, and talk about her experience, because I know, like, when we were researching, it's like, okay, who's gonna be the judges? Like, we were like, okay, damn. I remember researching your page and you're like, oh, she won the year before us, right?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And now they had told us it was like a different format
Yeah.
than what they had did. So can you kind of get into how that was when you had won that Revolt World competition?
Yeah, so for the Revolt World, basically it was a live pitch competition. So you had to send in a pitch deck like a month previous in advance, and you had to get selected to move on to the next round.
Yeah.
Then when you got selected, then you had to pitch in front of 5 judges, similar to like how y'all had.
Yeah.
But it was a live pitch. Like you had like, I think it was like 5 minutes to explain your podcast, and it was like 5 other people who were pitching as well. But I was the youngest person, so and I knew that. So anytime, I always tell people, anytime you're going into something, always figure out what your edge is. Like, what can you do that's better or stands out than, like, the other people. You know what I'm saying? And I knew in that moment, I was the youngest person, right? So, and people are always trying to figure out how can we tap in with like that Gen Z audience. So I basically said, like, y'all tapping in with the Gen Z audience, because I am Gen Z, you feel me? And what made, I really just spoke to like what made my podcast different and special and stuff like that, and had confidence. So it was like a live pitch, had 5 minutes, you couldn't go over the 5 minutes, and then afterwards they asked you like a series of questions, and I went first, right? Which I felt like I'd rather go first, because when you go first, you get it over with, right? When you go after other people, now you like thinking about what that person did and that. Like when you first, whatever you did is what you did.
What it is.
Set the
Nah,
standard.
that was
My
we
best.
had went first too.
Exactly.
We had went first.
Yeah.
We was like, we did to set the tone,
Set
like
the tone.
get it out, and then
Exactly.
now we can look back, okay, and kind of compare versus comparing ourselves to somebody else before we even went.
Trying to change our game plan after seeing them do that. We just went in there with the best shot we had.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a fact. But that experience was definitely special, because at the last minute, so we had I'm not sure if y'all went to like set up earlier in the day. Oh, so they had made us go like set up, make sure everything was good, do a test earlier in the day.
Oh.
Then
We're
they
supposed to.
Yeah, we were supposed to.
They
Like they had time set out, but I guess shit
They,
get busy.
yeah,
Right.
like, fuck it.
So we had to go set up, and at that moment he was like, yeah, you could give the judges, some cards, something like that. I didn't have anything, so I'm like, oh shoot, like, what am I going to give the judges? So I went to set up at like 10 a.m. My pitch was at 3 p.m. So I left Revolt early around like 11:30. I went straight to Staples, all that printed
all
out.
that shit.
I got a whole thing of water bottles, and I made labels, and I put like my logo with my show on the water bottles. I had a book. I wrote a book, so I put my book in there. Like, I just did mad giveaways. I put candy, right? And I gave each judge, like, a little something, like just little things to just make yourself stand out. You know what I'm saying? And I just put a lot of effort into that. So, yeah. So it's been,
You was hella locked in. I ain't gonna lie. To leave there, go to Staples and start cooking, bro.
Nah, that's fire.
Like, you really came back locked in. I'm glad that worked out in your favor too.
Nah, I'm happy to. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So after they heard all the pictures, they just said, okay, they announced you. Like, how was that process kind of moving forward, like going with them with Revolt?
So I know the crowd had some type of engagement with it. I think the crowd, you had like the popular crowd vote.
Yeah, same thing, yeah.
And then you had the judges actually voted as well. So they like, went together, they talked and like for like 15 minutes and then said who won. And I was like, oh snap. Like, it was crazy. But it was a good moment because it was like, it had to be like 100 people there, like 75 to 100 people there. So it was pretty. It was
definitely a fire experience for us too.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like we talked about it on the pod before, but like it was like that was the biggest event we've ever been a part of. Obviously, like we've had events at KSU where we've done not a podcast, but we've done like panels. We've done other events that went good or went bad, depending on how it went. where we had a similar amount of people, but like being there, I feel like the production level. I was like, okay, we actually gotta lock in here.
Stage director say, hey, go sit over there in that corner.
Like
We're gonna call you up. We're gonna call
real
you up.
staff on this
like
event.
the thing on the screen,
There's some real money behind this.
Yeah, they have little Sonys. And they have them big motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So, what was your perspective being a judge of the Revolt World in 2024 after you got selected in 2023?
Now I thought it was cool because I looked at it from like, wow, I was just here. Like it was a very surreal moment, especially because during that time I was also celebrating, I think it was 3 years of my business. Right. So I was just like, wow, like in 3 years, last year I was here pitching. Now I'm here as a judge. You know what I'm saying? So it just gave me a push to let me know like what's possible. You know what I'm saying?
Real.
And like when you guys went, I thought it was awesome because I was like, wow, this is another young group. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I just saw myself and you guys. So I was like, it's a no-brainer. Like I'm not about to go pick. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a no-brainer. So I think it was just really surreal to see. It was like an awesome feeling, Yeah.
Now it was crazy. Like I said, when I did my research, like that was the same strategy that we went in with. All right, y'all want the Gen Z audience? Like we gonna give y'all Gen Z because we are Gen Z. So it was crazy just seeing you picked for the judge, and after you won, that gave us the confidence. Oh damn, like this shit can move fast. Like being able to put in that work actually can result in and shit coming out. I mean, I thought we had a lot of good opportunities with the Revolt shit.
You want to be a
bro.
judge next year, bro?
Bro, I want to be a judge, bro. I want to do everything. I be trying to feel like. Yo, put me in an interview, like put me on the red carpet or something, bro. We gonna make something shake. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Put me in a TV show. We gonna get this shit rolling. You know what I'm saying?
And the people at Revolt they're so cool. Like they're just like here to help, like here to move the vision forward. You know what I'm saying? So they're like assets. So I would say definitely just take advantage of the opportunities that they have and things like that, and just putting yourself in position because they will really like push you and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you said your what was the name of your podcast again?
The Young and Dumb Show.
Young and Dumb Show. So how did you start that show, and what made you think to submit that show to the Revolt World competition originally? Because I mean, you got to be having some kind of confidence in yourself to say, "Damn, okay, I feel like my podcast is big enough to compete." Like we didn't. Dev had reached out to us. You see what I'm saying? So we was, oh shit, we got to compete in this. That's a no brainer. Yeah. So what made you have that kind of confidence?
Yeah, I think. Well, I started my podcast in 2022, I would say. But podcasting is one of those things where it kind of like fell into me, right? Where like I'm constantly like speaking and like talking to people and things like that. Like let's take a step back. What I do, right? So I have a business called Financial Revolution. So I teach financial literacy and entrepreneurship. So I have programs in like schools across New York City teaching the youth on like money management, investing, stocks and credit, things like that, right? I also do like a lot of like just motivational speaking, like keynotes and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm always like just talking about like our generation or just people in general and like how we should be moving and things that we should do. And one day I was sitting with my cousin and he was like, you should have a podcast, right? Like, because, that's like the next few years podcasting is going to be lit. Yeah. And like, you're already doing everything that you would do in a podcast. You're just not recording yourself. Right, you know what I'm saying? Real. And I was like, nah, that makes sense. And I also feel like a conversation could change your life. Like you can have a conversation with one person they can tell you something that changes your whole trajectory of what you do, how you do things, how you think, right? And I always felt like I had I had people that was dropping little gems on me that just kind of changed just how I thought in the things that I do. So I'm like, what if I just have these conversations recorded, right? So if I'm sitting down with a lawyer and I'm asking them questions, because I always ask people questions, let's record that, right? Because there's somebody out there that wants to be a lawyer. If I'm sitting down with somebody who owns a billboard, let's record that, right?
Yeah.
Let's see like what that process is like. So that's how I came up with the Young and Dumb show. And when people always be like the name, like some people like it, some people don't, right? I feel like when you're young, you know, you're more impressionable. When you're young, you're hungry for knowledge. When you're young, you know, it's all these different things that you're looking for because you're adulting, right? You're trying to go through life, right? And figure out your next steps. So, you know, when you're young, you make some dumb mistakes, right? But it's also learning from those things as well. So I bring on like young people. I also bring on elders as well, like, and just talk about like how can we as young people get into these different industries and what does it look like, and it also adulting as well, like what does that adulting process look like, because they all been there before.
You said adulting, right?
Yes.
Okay, I had to make sure. You know,
So you interview more like older people who have done it, or like
a little bit of both. Like I talk to people who's doing it now in a process. Like my last episode I just recorded like a week ago, I sat down with somebody who battles like anxiety, depression, and like they're not starting their business because of they're scared. And I really sat down with them, and this is a young adult. She's like 26, something like that, right? Yeah. And I sat down with her to ask her like, what are you going through in your mind? Because there's a lot of other young people like yourself that it's the same way. And we crack the code, you know what I'm saying, in real time. So I have conversations like that, but then I'll also bring on somebody who's a millionaire, right? And talk about like, how did you start your business and become a millionaire, right? Because I feel like we need all the conversations. We don't need to just see someone who already made it. We need somebody who's going through the process, right? You know what I'm saying? So
no, I respect that.
Agree, bro.
Yeah. I mean that's why we started the podcast too. Like we was having conversations with each other, and so that was like the inception of it. But we eventually kind of evolved. Like, like having conversations with everybody is really important, bro, because everybody has a different perspective. Like,
that's
and
a fact.
You see people as a face value, and you have no idea what 25, what 35, what 45 years led before that to get to this exact point to figure out whatever their perspective is.
That's a fact.
And like a lot of the times, bro, I mean, even in 15 minutes, like that would be the craziest part about the show. It's even in 15, 20 minutes, you'll have them make a statement, and then you can walk back their entire like damn near life or damn near whatever like led up to that to really kind of understand. Sometimes you're like, I can see why you say that. I disagree with you, but like I can see maybe what kind of led to that kind of perspective.
That's a fact. I was just talking to my dad the other day, and he was saying like how your life and the experiences you have and what you see and what you're exposed to really shapes your mind. And he used the example of like, you know, if I'm in a house and you're in a basement and you see one little window, what you see from that window is way different from what you're going to see if you're on the roof, right? If you're on the roof, you're going to see the whole city, you know what I'm saying? But in the basement, you're only going to see this. And a lot of people are limited because they're only having conversations with people who only see things from one angle. They're only talking to people. They're only doing things from a limited point of view, right? And I think podcasts and just conversations in general helps people learn other perspectives so that they can open up their mindset and be exposed to new things and learn.
Yeah, sure, bro.
Yeah, man, you put that shit together right now.
after recording with so many people, so many guests from so many different places, bro, literally different countries at this point now, like, all right, at least my perspectives have just widened up, bro. Like we see things so much differently, and like Mike said, like sometimes based on somebody's, you know, their whole childhood. Okay, I see why you can't trust nobody.
Yeah,
like, I see why you literally can't.
I would be like you damn near agree. Like, damn, maybe I would be like that if I had come from your circumstances or I had lived your lived experiences.
It's a fact.
And then I mean, like, I even think about like how my opinion on shit changes so often. Like something, well, like I can go back to episodes that are, you know, just 2 years old, complete different perspective on the same topic. That's why I don't ever mind revisiting topics, because having conversation with people or just having more experiences changes my opinion ever evolvingly. You know what I'm saying? I feel like podcasts gives people the actual space to talk about it.
That's
like,
a fact.
People may have thought about it, but you haven't talked about it, had an actual open conversation about something to learn something. Like you said, I mean, there's a lot of people out here who have anxiety, you know, about everything. You know what I'm saying? In your case, it has to do with you know, business, running a business. But, you know, our cases, a lot of times it's relationships or just living life like freely in general. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's a fact.
And we always trying to throw a little comedic spin on it. You know what I'm saying?
Got to. I mean, it'd be boring without it.
It do be crazy.
You gotta tell the stories, and you gotta tell it in a way where, like, you know, it's a lived experience. So you gotta have the little comedy to it.
Especially when they come and tell us some dramatic ass shit.
Like, sometimes we go over here like,
Damn. You was stunned.
That was us yesterday. This girl was telling us a story. We was
Bruh,
like,
you be like,
Hits.
and then because the crazy part is you don't never like reach out to them or expecting that kind of story or that kind of trauma. You be like, damn, but you just walking around like casually like this.
Nah, after you've been through all that,
you been through all that, you ain't say nothing to nobody, bro.
You just run the business now, like that's normal. Like you ain't just go through some shit.
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody who comes on the podcast, man. You know, it has great open conversations with us, man. We definitely appreciate it. I know you appreciate it as far as like just being able to grow your brand, you know, and show people who you are and who they are as well. So I definitely appreciate you coming on the pod, you know, showing us who you are.
I appreciate you for having me.
Of course, man. With that being said, it's been the Got 15 podcast, and we out, man. Peace.
Get to the money and slide. Get to the money and slide.
Appreciate y'all popping out to the podcast, man. Make sure y'all leave a like. Go ahead and comment something. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss any of our videos, bro.
And make sure you subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive behind-the-scenes videos posted weekly. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TikTok, and I already know we're on YouTube, man. Go check us out everywhere.
Show.
Brr.